Honorable ministers from Barbados. We have our honorable minister from Uganda, Minister. Other ministers present, excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, youth workers, those in person, those online. Warm welcome to all of you. I'm from the Commonwealth Secretariat and from our Secretary General. You will hear from her shortly as well via video. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here in this, the fourth Youth Work Conference. But in the very first Youth Work Conference, the focus was on conceptual clarity. What is youth work? We discussed at length, trying to define and come up with clear definition of what it was. And one of the definitions we were able to agree was that youth work is all forms of rights-based youth engagement approaches that build personal awareness and support the social, political, and economic empowerment of young people, delivered through non-formal learning, but set within a context of care or a matrix of care. In the second Youth Work Conference, we moved on from what is a definitional clarity to what is the role and purpose. So it was an exercise in trying to define what the role and purpose of youth work was in the Commonwealth. In the third Youth Work Conference, we are glad that we have Miriam here from Malta, which was held in Malta. It was cross currents in youth work. We focused on, well, how do you practice youth work? And so we brought persons from the Commonwealth, youth workers from Europe, and with over 90 countries represented, we were sharing and exchanging best practices on how youth work needs to be in the world today. Well, what are we going to do in this fourth Youth Work Conference? In this fourth Youth Work Conference, we're trying to demonstrate the power of youth work. How, we want to answer the question, how does youth work actually transform lives? How does youth work add value? What difference does youth work make in the world? In this our fourth Youth Work Conference, the first since the pandemic, there is not a single country across the whole world who has not been impacted by the current geopolitical and economic challenges brought on by the pandemic. There are many also environmental factors that have had its role in causing so much turmoil across the world right now. And with less than 7 years to the fulfillment of the SDGs, those targets and goals that we have globally set for ourselves, there has been a significant loss in the youth development world and youth development sector due to the pandemic. With the pandemic has also come health challenges, mental health challenges, violence against women and girls, and so many other challenges that our young people currently face. And in this conference, we hope to unpack and revisit these in order to go forward. In this conference, I believe we're at a critical juncture, as Lee said. We're at a place where we need to define or redefine how are we going to help our young people manage the challenges that define their day. I thank the NYA and the government of the United Kingdom and the host of other partners, including number one, Kaiwa, for helping us to put this conference together so that we can have these critical conversations. The task before us in this conference, though, is very daunting. Some would even say impossible. Are we able to demonstrate the transformative impact of youth work? Can we show that youth work is actually making a difference to the SDGs? We not only see the challenges in the world, to be honest, we also see opportunities. So can youth work demonstrate what those opportunities are and how to reap the benefits from them? My question to you simply is, can youth work deliver? Can youth work answer the call that has been made from governments, from stakeholders, from the private sector? That is a question we are here to interrogate in this conference. Last year, the CYF theme from the Youth Council was taking charge of our future. We heard it very clearly. What the young people were saying was a cry, a plea, a statement of intent. We want to take control of our future. The vision for youth work in the Commonwealth must therefore respond to that call. And so again, I will say what I've always said from the first Youth Work Conference about what the vision for youth work is in the Commonwealth. And I'll say it here again, just because it's important to say it every time we meet. What are we trying to do here? We want to see a Commonwealth where youth work is recognized and valued for its contribution to development and democracy. We want to see a Commonwealth where youth workers are in place in their countries, where they are recognized and where they're supported for their work. We want to see a Commonwealth where youth workers are well trained and are equipped and have access to quality education and training. And we want to see a commonwealth where our youth workers and practitioners work together to influence youth and the national development agenda. Today, I share with you, to build on that vision, just 4 ideas from our collective discussions about what we could do to fulfill this vision in this 4th conference. I call them the 4 I's. The first and foremost, the first one is innovation. Innovation is key if we're going to unlock the true potential of youth work in engaging our young people. You know, working in low resource contexts, which many of our Commonwealth countries must work in, it is their innovation and creativity of the youth workers that comes alive. Youth work should and must be one of the most innovative professions in the world. Why? Because it is so close to young people, and young people are so creative and inspirational that we must draw from them those lessons and be innovative ourselves as youth workers. We must constantly be innovating. Anything that is not innovating today will die. And so we must innovate. And in a world that is now digitized, youth work cannot be left behind in this move to technology. We must continue to think out of the box. We must continue to think and feel and act in the digital age. Artificial intelligence, big data, blockchain, cloud computing, the Internet of Things. If it frightens you, it shouldn't, because it can't, because we must be innovators in youth work. The second I, very quickly, is investment. If we are to achieve the vision that has been set out of a commonwealth where youth work thrives, there must be investment. Investment not only in the human resource potential that we have, that is the people, but also financial investment. And for too long, I know we have been carrying the youth work sector on the backs of the human resource, the people. But where is the financial investment? That is missing, and it is full time now that youth work delivers on that if we are to realize the promise and the vision of youth work. So we need that investment. And that investment must come not just from us as human beings working in this space, but it must also come from those who believe in youth work, because we have demonstrated the power of youth work. What am I talking about? We must demonstrate the return on investment for every dollar, every pound spent in youth development. What is the equivalent return on the investment there? We must tell that story. We have said it over and over. Ministers, we know you know it. Our governments know it. We know youth work is important. But can we demonstrate the return on that investment that is made? Every dollar, every pound, it counts. The third I, inclusion. Inclusion is the foundation upon which all our efforts must stand, regardless of gender, age, race, ability, or background. Everyone should have the opportunity to access and participate in youth development programs, initiatives in their varying and different contexts. Whether it's rural youth, at-risk youth, vulnerable youth, they should have access to the services and the provisions we provide. This is the rights-based approach, which is the bedrock of our youth work sector. Protecting and promoting human rights in youth work should remain the foundation of our work. This is the third I. Youth work takes a strong stand against racial discrimination and injustice. We have a zero tolerance against violence and harassment, and we reject all forms of exploitation and abuse of young people and the children in our charge. We need to take steps to ensure that the legislations and the regulations are in place to protect and safeguard the most vulnerable in our sector. The last I conclude with the fourth one, integrity. I share this word with my young son, and so I have to say it very slowly for him. He's 6 years old. Integrity. Integrity is uniquely personal. It's about ethics. It's about what we call good youth work. Integrity is my actions, my decisions, my choices. The core values, the ethical principles that underpin our work, like the right to protect young people's rights, like the respect for young people's cultural diversity, like the meaningful participation of our young people. Integrity is about character, honesty, trust. It's about standards, ethics. It's about how we work in a professional context. I might not be a professional youth worker, but I certainly must be professional in how I work. Even if I'm a sports coach or a Scouts or Girl Guides leader, the way I work must be professional. So I'll say to you today, the fourth I, integrity. We can teach the next generation a lot by the way we live as youth workers. Well, why is this vision for youth work important? Well, Lee said it, because there's conflict in almost every continent across the world today. Because crime and violence is in many communities is out of control. because there's a mental health tsunami. It's affecting our young people. Because the formal education system has had a significant exogenous shock, and there are setbacks in education. Because simply our young people today, they need hope. Excellencies, ministers, distinguished guests, I believe that youth work can deliver. But do you? If you believe it, then the next question I'm going to ask you will, well, when are we going to act? When are we going to rise up? When are we going to inspire the next generation in the way that I know we can? This is the challenge of this conference. And so in this year, the 50th year of the youth program, 50 years of building and growing youth work across the Commonwealth, from the smallest country to the largest ones, 50 years of working with young people in almost all capacities. In this, the year of youth, well, we stand on the shoulders of the giants that have gone on before. Many of them, I have met them, but they influenced someone who influenced me. And I think that is what we have to do for the young people coming next. What will the next 50 years do? I do not know, but it begins with us. I recall one of those persons who had dedicated their full life in the person of Dr. Henry Charles, a dedicated and committed practitioner, youth worker, leader, mentor, coach, advocate, advisor, political technician, a colleague, and a friend. For many who would not know, Dr. Henry Charles was supposed to be at this conference, in fact, to speak, but sadly passed away quite suddenly over the weekend, and it will not be here. Many things will be said of our colleague over the duration of this conference. Many things will be said about our friend. But one thing I will say, only one I will say today about him, which is Henry Charles was a person of faith. Any person didn't know that. He had strong faith. He had a faith that there would be a better tomorrow for our young people. He had a faith that there was a brighter day coming. He had a faith that by the young person that we were engaged with will overcome the challenges and obstacles they face. He had faith. And he believed that by faith, those young persons could experience the opportunities and the employment that the world had to offer. He had faith. But he was also very practical. And so he believed that faith without works is dead. And he would always argue that we cannot put new wine into old wine skins. That was code for we need a systematic and structural change, in case you never got it. Every time he said we can't put new wine into old wine skins, he was calling for a great revolution, a change in. And so we will miss our dear colleague, and I will miss our dear friend. But I think from this conference, we must resolve that his life, his passion, his dedication will be an inspiration for us all. And by embracing innovation, by harnessing the power of positive change, by working hard to secure the necessary investment, by working to ensure that every young person has equal opportunities, and that there is inclusion for all, no one is left behind, and that we hold our standards high and remain at the forefront, keep in the forefront of our minds integrity, then I believe the future generations of the Commonwealth will be secured. And the lasting memory of Dr. Henry Charles will be preserved and will be fulfilled through each one of us doing our part. And so today, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for being here at this conference. And I thank you for your inspiration and your work so far to get us to this point. But the question to you that I leave is, can youth work deliver? And can that delivery be through you? Excellency, distinguished guests, thank you. And I look forward to the wonderful conversations we will have. Thank you so much.